According to numerous statistics, the mobile phone industry is one of the fastest growing markets worldwide, particularly in Africa. As a result, there are many companies vying for a piece of the pie. Some are successful, others are not. We'll have a look at one of the latest incentives in this field and speak to Andrew Worthington, Managing Director of Visible Science in South Africa.
Visible Science started about 18 months ago, and it flowed out of our belief that there was a requirement for another kind of cellular device into South Africa and into the African environment as such. You know, we're very much driven by European standards and what European models are, and that's not necessarily always what is required in an African kind of environment. And we decided to go out and start a company under a new brand, which I suppose was quite brave, to take on the major brands globally, but to go and find a product that meets the requirements of the consumer. And we have a very specific design around what the consumer is and who the consumer is. And we went out, visited the factory in Shenzhen in China, and sourced a device and a number of devices that will allow us to go play in the mobile space, but with an African touch and feel to it ultimately at the end of the day.
New guy.
Come on, you need it. Take a shot now.
Oh, poor guy.
Watch free TV with recording, dual SIM and touchscreen on your new VS Mobile.
The product right now is a handset under the VS Mobile brand, and we are competing against other handsets in the marketplace with one very specific differential. We see ourselves more as a mobile media device than a cell phone, and the key driver here is mobile television, and we're going to focus on the free-to-air television in Africa. So we're not looking at targeting subscription, high-end consumer type devices, and we really want to take the device and place it into as many hands in Africa that we can, so that we can enable them to be informed, and through the information that they're receiving, empower the guys, and that will grow the communities in which those phones actually sit.
To start up the business, Visible Science got assistance from Grofin. Grofin is a finance and advisory organization that works differently to traditional banks.
What we do as Grofin, we don't only give just the finance. We believe that we give a package, what we call a finance solution, which is a combination of the finance and what we call business development management. Basically, what we do is, other than over and above giving you finance, we ensure that when you start your business, such things as marketing, such things as financial management are in place before you can begin. So it actually makes you to start smoothly than if you were starting on your own or you just got finance from a financier.
Visible Science is very confident about the future of the company, especially because of its huge potential across Africa.
Africa, from a mobile perspective, I think last year became the world's leading consumer of cell phones. So it's a huge market. I think it's a market that remains untapped. And I think our device, without sounding cynical, we're trying to create an African device for Africa that the users of that device will actually use 80% of the functionality rather than 20% of the functionality in most cases where they buy devices at this stage. So the whole objective is obviously to go play in the mobile space. Yes, to take on the other brands, we need to take a slice of that cake. And our objective is to have 1.5 million handsets in the market in the next 3 years. And through that, slowly but surely, introduce officially mobile television into the markets into Africa.
Visible Science does not only have commercial targets, they also have community plans, projects known as Corporate Social Responsibility, or CSR.
One of our social responsibility projects that's flown out of Visible Science is, as a kingdom-based business, we have very strong feelings about applying value back into the communities in which we operate. And part of that process is, in Africa, besides the issues around food and all that kind of stuff, education is a real issue. And if a person's not educated, they're not empowered to move forward. So we are saying, through our device, through association with the right partners in education, in corporates, in broadcasting environments, we want to take the VS mobile device with VS education and create a tool for Africa where, through populating of SD cards, through formalized agreements with the broadcasters that are broadcasting educational content, that the scholars, irrespective of whether in major urban areas or in rural areas, will have access to the best possible learning tools that are available. And we're going to focus on 3 areas, being maths, science and technology, which I think is really the focus in South Africa and specifically Africa. And every youngster's aspiration is to own a cell phone, and if we can get a VS mobile phone that is populated with at least a year's worth of maths, science and technology education on those SD cards, find NGOs and corporates to sponsor that phone, because what we don't want to do is add to the cost and the cost burden to the scholar. But what we do want to do is uplift the ability of that student to go home at night time and regurgitate the information that he's received, but everybody is getting exactly the same quality of education. So that's a passion of ours, and we'll certainly start looking to launch that effectively next year. And we believe it needs to be simple, it needs to be inexpensive, but effective in what we're trying to achieve.